session 4.2 of negotiation and campaign management. Remember, we split the session into two parts. Session 4.1 was focused on the negotiation stage, and in this session 4.2, we will cover the remaining stages of campaign management. So let's dive right in and go through the course content.
Just a quick note, because you're following this content on YouTube, if you complete all the 10 sessions, you will receive this certificate of completion. You can access it through the link below. The course is widely acknowledged by corporates, D2C brands, and most of the larger agencies. You can add it to your curriculum vitae, your CV, as well as your LinkedIn certificates, and this will help to propel your career. Now let's get back to the content.
So at first, we will go briefly through the 4 stages of campaign management again, just to recap. Then we will discuss the awaiting post stage, which is centralized or which is crucial for maximizing your posting rate or minimizing your non-posting rate. Then chapter 3 will be about relationship building. So this is the stage, the first stage once the influencer has posted. We go through the communication strategy, templates. Then in chapter 5, we will discuss or emphasize again on the 80-20 power laws, the Pareto principle, in combination with a brief look into a Black Friday, Cyber Monday influencer case study. And then we have the appendix. So let's go through the 4 stages again. So remember, we covered this in 4.1 as well, but I just want to quickly recap this. In the workflow chart here, we have 4 stages. And whenever we work on campaign management, we always want to structure it in these 4 stages to make campaign management more digestible and have a better overview, right? So this is included in our materials of our templates, in this workflow overview, in our slide decks and content, but also in our CRM, right? So let's briefly go through them again. We have the influencer outreach stage, which in the workflow chart is visualized here. This is all about the preparations, right? Setting up the templates and then kickstarting the outreach. This will be in the CRM in column 1. Then we have the negotiation stage, which we covered in last session or the previous session 4.1, and this is included in the CRM in column 2, right? The negotiation stage is the first time when the influencer replies to your email. Then we have the awaiting post stage, right? Stage 3 here. In the workflow chart, it's in purple, and in the CRM, it's the 4th column. We have the on hold column, just as to recap, just as an additional column, okay? In case your products are out of stock, in case you need to get some approvals from your client if you're a marketing agency. So it's just a spare column. It's not a separate stage, okay? We have the awaiting post stage is the 4th column. And then we have the last and stage 4 of campaign management, which is the posted / relationship stage. Naming convention wise, that's on me. We are using 2 different names here. So in the CRM, it's called posted, because what happens is once the influencer posts on social media, the system automatically recognizes it and will drag the deal to posted, right? So you can exactly see once an influencer has posted. But it's also the first stage where we want to onboard those influencers into a long-term partnership, right? Midst they perform well. So that's why in this overview here, I call it the relationship stage. But in the CRM and in this workflow overview, it's the posted stage. Okay, so let's dive right in and go into the actual workflow. Okay, so to recap or just quickly make sure that the connection is clear from 4.1. This stage here, negotiations, what we discussed, remember in last session. Here, the bids will be negotiated, right? And then what we did is actually we stopped 4.1 in this stage, right? So once a negotiation has been approved and the influencer agrees, it comes to a deal, right? And the next stage is actually to send out the product. So this is actually still part of the negotiation stage, but we haven't covered that in 4.1, so we'll cover that here. And what you do is you will send the product send template, right? After you have sent the product. So let me actually show you how this is done. So the line on top here is if the influencer just directly agrees, right, to the post, then you can also proceed and send the product. You can do all of this within Influencer Hero. If you're not using Influencer Hero, you would just dispatch the product manually, right? Create an order in your third-party fulfillment software, or for whatever you're using. If you're doing it yourself, you dispatch the products, right? But in Influencer Hero, what you typically would do is you would ask for the address details, and you click on the three dots here, you click on edit profile info, you would add the city, zip code, country, whatever you need in order to send the product to the influencer, and you click on save, right? Then what you can do is you can click here on send product. The system syncs with your CMS, if it's Shopify or whatever you're using, and then you can just type in the product here or the SKU. This will autofill from the profile section here, and then once you click on send product, it will create a $0 order in your CMS, right? So you can basically automate the process of sending products. Now again, once you have sent the product, you will move to the product sent stage here. And that's the first time we will actually move into the awaiting post stage, right? Which is, remember, stage 3 of campaign management. In this workflow here, again, in case the product is out of stock or you need to ask approval from your client, you move it to on hold. And then once it's back in stock or the client is approved, you send out the product and you move to this stage. Okay, so now we are actually in the awaiting post stage, okay? The first template, which you would send through the CRM, and again, we do this by just clicking here on send email and selecting the right template, is the product send template, okay? So it's really important to follow this communication strategy step by step in order to maximize your results, okay? So let's go through these templates. So in the file, again, this is in the description below, you go through resources and then you click on outreach campaigns, which is the first one. You select your social media platform, right? It's an Instagram campaign, TikTok, or YouTube. Let's say we are working on Instagram campaign, And what we do then is we go to the awaiting post stage here. Then we have all the templates here. Just quickly create a copy here, make a copy, and you can copy paste them into your CRM, right? Where you can do that as well, I can briefly show that. You have here other tools, and then you have your template manager. And in the template manager, you can save all your templates, right? You can see here, we have all these placeholders. You can click on table here. You can copy these placeholders and they will autofill, right? So it makes your life easier. Good. Then let's actually go through the templates, all right? Because this is important. This is the communication strategy. And again, each of these templates have been set up with a specific thought behind it, okay? So make sure to follow this, and we actually discuss the communication strategy in here. So the product send template, all right, let's go through it. Hi, first name. Thank you for providing your shipping details. The product is on its way and should be arriving in a few days. You can use the following custom link and discount code to share with your followers. Looking forward to your post. Right, super simple, straightforward, just informing the influencer that the product has been dispatched and then also sharing the link and discount code. Again, this is something you can also create in Influencer Hero. You just go to the collaboration section here, you click on the edit file, and then you can set here, for example, 10% commission. You can create the discount code. This is linked again to your CMS, and it will automatically create the discount code and the affiliate link. Okay. If you're not using Influencer Hero, you can create affiliate links using UTM links, and then you can track it through Google Analytics, or you might use a other third-party software for creating affiliate links and discount codes. Right. So I think this template is quite straightforward. Then what we do is we will move on to the next stage here, and we wait for delivery. Okay. In Influencer Hero, we sync with your CMS, and we actually extract the tracking link. So we know exactly when the product has arrived, and you can also check that in the deal page. If you're not using Influencer Hero, just double check in your third-party fulfillment software and access the tracking link, right, to check if it arrived or not. And then we have two templates here. We have product arrived ? If we are not sure, right? This can be the case if it just takes too much time to extract the tracking link and you just want to send the communication template directly. Or product delivered is if we have the tracking link and we know, okay, it has been delivered, right? Then we use this template. Let's go through both of them. So the product arrived ? If you're not sure, how are you? I want to let you know that I want to know if you have received the product. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on it. Regarding the post, here's your custom link and discount code again for reference. These will be used to track the number of clicks and referrals. Based on this information, we offer different packages and brand ambassador programs. Could you tell me on which date you're planning to post? That way I can check your account, as I'm super excited to see the post myself. This template is super important, okay? First things first, timing of this template, okay? Make sure to send this email a few days after you have sent out the product, right? If you know that your shipping time is around 2-3 days, then send this out after 2-3 days. Same for this template, which is structured very similar, right? So it's just the difference is that you know that it's arrived, right? So the only difference is that you say here, I saw that the package has been delivered. The rest of the template is the same. And make sure to send it right after you see that it has been delivered. The more time you take here, the more time the influencer will take. So it's really important, and this is actually throughout the entire process of the campaign, that you follow up at a timely manner, okay? Because if you send this email right after the product has been delivered, the influencer knows you're on top of things, right? This is important to you. She is or he is probably only one of the few and not part of hundreds of influencers you're managing, which could be the case, but you don't want to share that with them, right? They should feel special. And if you make sure that you follow up at a timely manner, they automatically think, okay, this is important. I also have to post quickly, right? Because they are following up. If you're taking, a week or 2 weeks to send this email, it just sends the message to the influencer, hey, this is not so important for you. And you took time, so the influencer can take time. What then happens is the influencer might forget about it. Posting rates go down, and it will impact your campaign, okay? So it's really important that the entire process is seamless, okay? And let me actually say one more thing, because this is something which very often happens, is this is not only with following up and in this stage, but it's the same for sending the product, because that's something which I see very frequently when we help users and we discuss how things are going. And what we see when we analyze their process is the influencer agrees to work with them, and then the brand takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks to send out the product because they're out of stock, or the communication is slow with their fulfillment team, whatever. This has a significant impact on your campaign performance, okay? Because once the influencer agrees, and if you take a month to send out the product, they will forget about it. It sends the message it's not that important, right? You take time, so they take time, right? So you want to make sure that everything is as seamless as possible. Once they agree, you directly send out the product, ideally the same day. Then after 3 days, it has been delivered, and you directly follow up, right? That way you will maximize your posting rate. So this is super crucial. Now, let's go through the template again, okay? Because this is a very important template. Let's dissect it by each part of this email. So how are you doing? I want to let you know, I wanted to know, if you have received the product. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on it, right? So very friendly tone, just checking in. I want to hear if your thoughts on the product, right? Have they used it already? Then you just quickly include the link and code again, because you really want them to use it, right? And they can easily just copy paste it. So you want to make it as convenient as possible for the influencer to make the post, right? If they don't have the link and they have to scroll through the emails again or ask, that's bad, right? So in your communication, you always want to include in a lot of messages the link and code so they easily can copy paste it and use it. Then the sentence here, these will be used to track the number of clicks and referrals. Based on this information, we offer different packages and brand ambassador programs. Very important sentence, okay? What we're doing here is again emphasizing, and we discussed this in the negotiation stage as well, but we're emphasizing again on that this initial post is just a test post, and if it performs well, that there's a lot more opportunity, right, to work with you as a brand. And that's really important because you want to make sure that the influencer puts a lot of effort into the post, right? That's what we're trying to achieve in this stage. And by saying this, the influencer gets a bit of FOMO. They think, hey, if this post performs well, then I might get fixed payments, or I might be included in a brand ambassador program, has a lot more opportunities for them, right? So that's what this sentence or these two sentences are trying to achieve. Then again, we're ending with a CTA. Could you tell me on which date you're planning to post? In all communication, right? Again, strong CTA at the end. Very, very important to trigger a reply, to trigger an action. So could you tell me on which date you're planning to post? That way I can check your account, as I'm super excited to see the post myself. Now, why are we doing this? By asking for a specific date, you are letting the influencers to commit to that specific date, which will also lead to an increase in posting rates, right? At the same time, we're adding this sentence here. That way I can check your account, as I'm super excited to see your post myself. So like the challenge in the communication, and this is always the case with influencer marketing, is it's a combination or a middle ground between maximizing results and coming over as pushy, right? You don't want to come over as pushy, so always friendly and always in a collaborative tone, but at the same time, you need to improve your campaign, right? So this is the perfect way to do it, because you're asking for a date, right? Which is actually to increase posting rates and increase commitment. But at the same time, you give a good reason for it, right? Because, for example, story posts, they expire, or the posts, they expire, and you don't want to miss that post. So you want to ask them when they're going to post so you can check it, right? Which is a valid reason. And it basically reduces or removes the concern of this coming over as pushy or being too controlling, right? So again, this template, I think, is really important, and every element has been thought through. So just use it and change it for your brand, but keep in mind that these elements are there for a reason, right? Product delivered, again, it's this exact same template, just if we know that the product has been delivered. So then what happens next is, once you send that email, a few things can happen, right? The influencer can post, then it's great. We collected the post and it will move into the posted stage. But what can also happen is there's no response, right? Or the influencer might say, hey, I need a bit more time, I'm traveling, I will post when I'm back in 2 weeks, right? In that case, you take the respective action, right? If they say they are traveling, totally fine. Just tell them, have a great trip or have a great vacation. I will follow up when you're back. Just to add a waiting task in the deal. So what you can do actually here is you can create waiting tasks. And then what will happen is you'll be notified. Here, create task. And then what you do is, for example, follow up after vacation. And then you set a deadline when she'll be back, assigned to the person who's working on your team. And then what you do is you select a waiting task. Okay. And then what happens, and this is important, there's a difference between a to-do task and a waiting task. A to-do task will directly show in yellow in this overview. And if a to-do task expires, it will show in red. And that means, okay, there's specific action required, right? But in this example, there's no specific action required right now, just once they're back from the holiday. So we do a waiting task. It shows as green until the deadline. And then once the deadline happens, it will change to to-do task. So hey, I need to follow up, right? So that's how we do it in Influencer Hero. If you're not using Influencer Hero, you just make a note somewhere to follow up, okay? What can also happen is that they just don't respond, right? They might miss your email. They might choose to ignore you, right? Can be anything. But what we do then is we follow up, okay? So we'll be using the word follow up a lot throughout this course because it is so important, okay? You need to follow up in order to improve your campaign performance. So many people stop doing the follow-ups because, again, if you're doing it manually, it takes a lot of time, but in Influencer Hero is super easy, just one click, okay? So what we'll do is we'll briefly go through the follow-up templates. Won't spend too much time on it because the follow-ups, they're quite straightforward, right? How are you? I hope you're having a great week. Want to make a quick follow-up. Have you gotten to use it already? Hope you like it. We are so eager to hear your thoughts on it. Looking forward to hearing from you, right? Just short, friendly, not pushy, just checking in, right? And again, find that middle ground between following up but not coming over as pushy. How is it going? It's been a while since I've heard of you. I hope you've gotten to test the product. Could you give me an estimate of when you're able to make the post? Looking forward to hearing from you. Smiley, right? Never come over as being upset or stressing them, right? Always friendly and easy to work with, okay? And then we have the last one here. Let's also briefly go through it. I hope everything is well. Just want to check if we are still on for the story post. I'm sure your schedule is pretty packed. If you could make a simple story, use the enter your name, that would be great. Using the, wait, what's this? If you could make a simple story using the, that would be great. Product name. So sorry, this should be actually a product name. Enter product name, right? So using the product, that would be great. If you're pressed in time, a quick or casual story showing the product with a sticker link will be greatly appreciated. Here are your custom link and discount code. Again, for your reference, please send me below. Look forward to hear a review. Right? So this is actually an important one because this is the last follow-up. We just show understanding. I'm sure your schedule's packed, right? If you can make a product showing it in action, that would be great because we always like the UGC showing the product in action. But if you're pressed, just a casual post, just briefly showing it would be sufficient as well, right? So all thought through and all friendly, okay? And that is super important because, well, let me quickly explain the next step first. So what happens is if they still don't reply to your follow-up, right, you can deactivate the deal. Or you can drag them into an overview where you just gather all the influencers which haven't posted or stopped replying to you. But let me tell you something here because this is super important, right? Never get upset or get angry with the influencer, okay? Because there's no benefit whatsoever in doing this, okay? Even though the influencers verbally agree to posting, right? This is not legally binding, and at the same time, it can have multiple reasons, right? It can be that the influencer, maybe the product was damaged, right? And they don't want to post about it and they just stop replying because it's too much work. Maybe they use the product and they're not convinced, right? Maybe they don't like the product and they don't want to recommend it to the followers because they don't like it. Is their honestly is their right, right? Or they just choose to not post. That can also be the case, right? What can also be the case, one more situation, is that they're just not reading their emails, right? Maybe they're traveling, and then they would reply to you when they're back, and you being upset about it will just ruin the relationship. And just in general, what will happen is you never know what will happen in the future, okay? Just by having the influencer, having your product, they might use it, you get organic product placement, you might be able to re-engage them at a later stage, right? And you will basically exclude all those opportunities by being upset and sending an angry email with like, hey, you promised you would post, you're stealing from us or something in the direction. It will have no benefit whatsoever. Like the best thing which can happen is that the influencer might make a quick post because you're pressuring them this way, but they will make the bare minimum, right? They will just make a picture. They will post it on a time where it doesn't get any reach. They'll probably delete it after maybe in half an hour or an hour, and that also doesn't give any benefit, okay? So try to avoid that. Just know that a certain non-posting rate is just part of the game, okay? What I would say in terms of a KPI is that you should expect a posting rate, if you use our workflow and communication strategy and follow this approach, of around 70 to 75%. Can be 65%, can be slightly lower, can be slightly higher. But I would say if it drops below 60%, below 50%, then it's probably where you need to just double check in your workflow, right? Maybe your team isn't using the right follow-ups. Maybe they're not following up at all. Just double check and do some due diligence to check what's going wrong, okay? Because if you follow this approach, your posting rate should be around 70%, I would say, okay? And then maybe one example, which we will discuss in detail in our case study, our Black Friday case study, which we'll cover in a separate session, but I'll just briefly share it here because it's a funny story. How you can reactivate, for example, influence which never posted. What we did, we had a user, we helped them a bit with their Black Friday campaign. I think it was a 7-figure plus or close to 7-figure Black Friday campaign. I have the case study written down and linked in the description below as well. But what we did is we knew that there were quite a few influencers which didn't post because we work with hundreds of influencers, if not with thousands. So we had a few, I think it was more than 100 influencers which didn't post. We gathered them. And then what we did before Black Friday is we sent the physical post card because we had their address, right? Because we sent the product to them. And we just wrote in handwritten note, thank you for your beautiful post during May. We double checked as a placeholder when they posted or when we send out the product. We have a Black Friday campaign up and coming. It would be awesome if you could share that with your audience. Here's a link and code which you can use, etc., etc. So what we did here is we on purpose told them thank you for the post, even though we knew that they didn't post, to try to create a little bit of a sense of guilt, right, with those influencers. And then try to get them to post during Black Friday. And quite a lot of them did. So that's just one way how you could re-engage influencers which don't post right away, okay? So never get upset, always stay friendly, always keep that relationship. Then I think we covered most of the important templates. So this is the file, in the awaiting post stage here. And then we actually move to the posted stage. So let me quickly check if I missed anything here. Good. I think, yeah, this is it in terms of the awaiting post stage. So we will move on to the next stage in the campaign, which is the posted stage, okay? So once the influencer has posted, what we do then is obviously we thank the influencer, and what we typically want to do is we want to classify them based on their performance, okay? And this is because now what happens, and we discussed this actually in the next session, is seasonality campaigns, is we want to check how we can reutilize these influencers which have posted the first time. Okay, so what we typically do is we classify them based on conversions, because that's in the most projects we help on the primary goal. What we do is if a influencer has more than 9 conversions, so 10 and up, we classify them as an HP, a high performer. If a influencer makes between 3 to 9 conversions, we classify them as a medium performer. And if an influencer makes less than 3 conversions, we classify them as a general performer. Now, general might sound a bit confusing. These are actually low performers, but low performers sounds a bit rude. And because we still work with them, we don't want to offend them in any, and it's for internal users, but just sounds a bit rude, right? So we decided to name them general performers, GPs instead of LPs, okay? Now, why am I saying this is actually, we covered this in the first introduction session as well, and this will be covered throughout the course because we always analyze based on A and GP level. But this is important, okay? Because we have different templates on them and we onboard them differently. But what I want to show quickly is emphasize again on the importance of the classification. Okay, and we do this by a quick example of a Black Friday campaign. Again, the case study is in the description below. This was, again, close to 7 figures during Black Friday. And what I want to show you guys is the revenue contribution of the HPs, MPs, and GPs of a large-scale campaign. Okay, so the which did more than 10 conversions contributed to 61.5% of overall revenue, right? So I think it was around 7 figures. You can double check in the case study. But if it's 1 million in sales, around $610,500 came from high performing influencers. Then around 30K or 30% of total revenue came from the medium performers, and then we had 8.4% of the revenue coming from the general performers, right? So we can already see here that the HP's contribution is the highest, then MPs, and followed by GPs. But now what's really surprising is if you look at this Black Friday campaign, is the number of influencers which participated based on this classification. 85.8% of the total influencers which participated in this Black Friday Cyber Monday campaign were GPs, and they contributed to only 8.4% of revenue. 12.1% of all the influencers which participated were medium performing influencers, and they contributed to 30.1% of revenue. And only 2.1% of all the influencers were HPs, right? Contributing to 61.5%, right? Now, if you put this into numbers, I'm not sure how many influencers exactly participated, but let's take an example. It could be even the number. It could be 1,000 influencers. No, wait. Yeah, it could be maybe 1,000. I don't know. Probably a bit less, but let's take the example of 1,000. Then out of those 1,000, only 20 or 21 were high-performing influencers, right? 850 or 858 were general performers, and 121 influencers were medium performers, right? And if you look at the numbers one more time, this is really interesting. 2.1% again of the high performers generated 61.5% in sales. And then if you take the MPs together, right? So here 14.2%, these two together, generated 91.6% of revenue, right? Which is close to the total revenue, right? And this should trigger a little bit of a recognition. If you studied business, or if you are in business, you probably heard of the 80-20 principle or the Pareto principle, right? And this is a very good example, right? It's even stronger. It's more like 50-90 but a small group of people contribute to the majority of the output, right? And why am I showing this here? It's because it should show you to really put the importance on managing the HPs, right? The HPs are your number one most important influencers. They are the one which contribute most to ROI. So also allocate the most time to them, right? Because what can easily happen is that you have 858 GPs, or those are the most influencers. Those also cost the most work, but they're not contributing to your revenue, okay? So ignore them or automate it. And we will explain that actually throughout this course as well, how you can work with GPs and use automation to actually manage them without having high cost of management. But what you want to do is you want to allocate your management cost to the HPs and MPs. Good. Then here's a quick table overview of this Black Friday Cyber Monday campaign, the top 10 influencers based on performance. So what you can see here, the top influencer generated 66.5K in US dollar revenue. The second one, 63.5K, and so forth. We have the fixed payment here. So you can see here with high-performing influencers, we prefer to work with fixed payments and not with affiliate, because affiliate gets expensive with good-performing influencers. We will explain this more in detail during the next session, which is seasonality campaigns, which this is an example of, right? So the Black Friday campaign is an example of a seasonality campaign. And then here the ROAS, right? So this is just beautiful to see, right? 19x, 26.6x return on ad spend, right? Most of them, they're above 10x, right? So this is something which is just not possible with paid ads, Google ads, whatever it is you do. This is only possible with influencer marketing, right? And this is also a lot of fun, right? If you organize these seasonality campaigns. And the last thing which I say to this is emphasize again on what I explained in the introduction session. Go back if you need to. But again, I emphasize on phase 1 and phase 2 of your influencer marketing campaign. Remember, phase 1 is where you work with first-time collaborations, where you are trying to identify these influencers, right? And phase 2 are seasonality campaigns like this Black Friday campaign, where you reactivate performing influencers, okay? And this shows, again, this is where your ROI comes from, okay? Not phase 1. So phase 1, you can even run that at break even or even slightly loss-making, because you will make your money in phase 2, okay? So that's really important to understand. That's where a lot of brands go wrong. They see not high enough ROAS in the phase 1 stage and don't even get to phase 2, right? What is even better, obviously, if you have a ROI or ROAS of around 3x, 4x, 5x plus in phase 1, which sometimes also happens, and then it's really fuel on the fire, right? You can scale like crazy. Like brands like Hexaclad, Daniel Wellington, Gymshark in the early stages, they all benefited from this significantly and scaled massively with influencers. So if you have that, let's say, channel product fit, you can scale massively in phase 1, be profitable there, and then on top of it, do phase 2, where you get even higher 10x plus ROI on your campaigns. Okay, then let's go through the templates in this stage. I just got carried away a bit on the seasonality campaigns, which is actually being covered in the next session. Okay, so then let's discuss briefly, and then we are done, the posted or relationship templates. Okay, so once the influencer has posted, we have 2 separate templates. You go to the file again, outreach campaigns, remember Instagram templates, then we go to relationship/posted stage. Okay, and then we have 2 templates here, one for here it says LP, I will call it GP, right? Let's call them general performers instead of low performers. And let's briefly go through that, and then we're done. So general performers, hi first name, thank you so much for the beautiful post. Your participation in our campaign means a lot to us, and we appreciate your efforts. We have left your link and code active, so you will continue to earn affiliate commission. Feel free to use the link also on other platforms, which will benefit your affiliate earnings. In addition, I've sent you an invitation to a dashboard so you can create your login, put in your bank details, and track your commission. Your collaboration is incredibly valued. Thank you again for your amazing support. Now, what we want to do here is we want to give them a way to continue posting, but we don't want to put a lot of effort into it because it's not ROI worth it. Okay, these are again GPs. They made less than 3 sales, so you cannot afford to spend a lot of time communicating with these influencers. Okay, so what we do here is just strategically be friendly, appreciate their post. Then what you tell them is you can continue to post, you earn commission, right? You have your dashboard here where you can enter your bank details in case they earn commission, right? But that's it, right? Quite straightforward, I guess. Then we have the MPs, and this is more important. Again, these are the ones for why we're doing all of this, right? We're testing all these influencers to identify the medium performers and high performers. And once you identify them, you have to do everything you can to bind them to your brand and keep them engaged, okay? So let's go through the template. Hi, first name. Thank you so much for your beautiful post. We would love to continue to work with you and send you our product for you to try. Enter short product description. I've also sent you an invite to your dashboard where you can see your earnings. If you connect your bank details in your dashboard, we can process the payment. Can we send you the other product? Why do we use this template? And I mean, you can structure it the way you want, but what we do is we actually want to get an additional post, right? We saw that this influencer made 5, 6, 10, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe it's a high performer, made 50 conversions. Then what we want is to get another post, right? We're now getting addicted to those influencers posting, right? And the best way to get them to post again is to send another product. And frankly, what you want to do is these influencers, you want to equip them with all your products, right? Because organic product placement, remember, you want them to use your product because you know that they're selling. They have access to your audience. That's the exact audience you want to reach, right? And there's no better way to reach them than through the influencer. So what we want them is to agree to another product, so we send them, get another post, okay? At the same time, you really want to personalize this email, right? So I can actually enter here, personalized sentence, which you write manually, right? You could write, for example, hey, your post showing the product in nature was amazing. Just an example, right? You want to look at the post and personalize it, okay? Because these are, again, important influencers. For HPs, do whatever is needed to bind them to your brand. Send them flowers. What we use is 1,800 flowers. Just order flowers, a bouquet to them to show your appreciation, because you need to bind these influencers to your brand, whatever it costs, okay? Good. Then briefly, what we do in Influencer Hero after this stage is we create so-called relationship deal flows. So here you have the deal flows, right? And then what we do is we create high performers, medium performers, general performers, and then we drag them into these deal flows. So let me actually quickly show you how this looks like. So this is an outreach flow, and then we have the deal flow for a relationship flow. Now the difference is the outreach, again, for first-time collaboration. This is phase 1, and this is for phase 2, okay? And in phase 2, it's not a sequence from left to right. It's just a place where you continue to manage the influencers, okay? So you have all these influencers. You can use batching to streamline the process. So if you want to re-engage them, you can, for example, do open bulk, and then you can write, for example, choose a condition, right? Could be performance, made more than 5 sales. I want to do this and this and this, okay? We will cover that in a separate session, so otherwise this session will take too long. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. We discussed the relationship. Let me quickly see if I missed anything here. Onboarding GPs, and then we have the appendixes. Yeah, this is pretty much it for campaign management. Next session will be about organizing these types of seasonality campaigns. So that's an exciting session. So make sure to watch the next session, because that's where the ROI is being achieved. And thank you so much for listening.